Guys, today I'm going to show you this chart. This is probably the most important chart you need to pay attention to right now. This is showing us on the chain what the whales are doing, and it is revealing us something absolutely insane. Guys, this is definitely a video you will want to watch the full video from the beginning to the end. I will talk about what all of this means for Bitcoin and what to expect within the next 48 hours, because yes, I do believe that all of this is telling us something very important is about to happen. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Cristiano, bringing you cryptocurrency videos every day, teaching you how to make money in this market. If you're new to the channel, then make sure to subscribe and activate the bell right now. Guys, today we got a really action-packed episode to talk about. But before we talk about the on-chain stuff and what the whales are doing, let's quickly talk about the shorter time frames. Nothing new here. You can see that we are still, having this little bit of an upwards trend here for Bitcoin. That's cool. But as you know, we're in fact inside of the orange box right here. This is big resistance until we not only break through the orange box here at $38,000, but also the orange box at $41,000, $42,000. I am not ruling out more downside. I am not, getting into a Bitcoin long until we are above this red line. It's a very distinct red line. I want us to close above this red line, consolidate above it, and then I am going to probably jump into a Bitcoin long here. But until then, we still have much resistance to go through here. Not only do we have these orange boxes, if you look at the daily time frame, of course, this is something I was talking about during the last couple of weeks and days as well. You can see that we are inside of the wedge, but we do have this downward sloping resistance from this wedge right now at 39,200. So again, 39,200, somewhere around here. So this whole area is big resistance. This is not where you want to get into a Bitcoin long. And as we know, the Bitcoin whales have been transferring a lot of Bitcoin to the exchanges right now. And they are most likely going to try to pull something, I believe, tonight or tomorrow. And I will explain why I believe that. Well, let's jump over to the traditional markets first. You can see that on the traditional markets, we are right on the edge here at 4,420. And these are going to open up today, Sunday evening, unless there's some kind of holiday in the US. I don't think so. But you can see that we're right on the edge here, and whatever happens when these opens up, that is going to dramatically influence the Bitcoin price. If we see a massive green candle, well, we still have, to be honest, we still have massive resistance here. So maybe it's not going to affect Bitcoin too much to the upside, because yes, even though we might have impulsive waves to the upside, we have so much resistance, and also from this downward sloping resistance on the daily time frame. So we have that resistance and the $41,000, $42,000 level. So don't expect, a straight green candle through all of this, but maybe that is at least going to put us in the right direction of eventually taking out all of these levels here. That is if the traditional markets opens up green. If they open up red, of course, it's not helping us that we have massive resistance here. But of course, that is probably going to mean that Bitcoin is going to go down and retest some of these lower levels here, 36,000, 34, 33 maybe. So is there anything else telling us that we might see this big reaction here for Bitcoin tonight? Well, I want to show you this chart, and this is, an extremely interesting chart. So it might seem a little bit confusing at first glance, but I will tell you what this means. So this is telling us what the whales are doing, basically. So a whale, just for definition, is someone who controls 1 to 10,000 Bitcoin, not 1 to $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, but 1,000 Bitcoin to 10,000 Bitcoin. So massive amounts of money here. Small fish control less than 1 Bitcoin. So people who are, retail investors, they control in general less than 1 Bitcoin here. Okay, so what do we have? Well, we have the Bitcoin price. So the Bitcoin price is represented by these dots. You can see that, up here we have $70,000, all-time high for Bitcoin. Down here we have the local bottom at $30,000. And so you can see the price here on the time scale. And then we have these colors. So these colors are really interesting because the dark blue color is whales and small fish are basically selling Bitcoin. So they are, selling their Bitcoin, while the light blue dot is whales are, selling Bitcoin. The small fish are buying Bitcoin. So this, just to put it simply, is whales selling into retail investors. Orange is whales are up and small fish are down, meaning that whales are buying from retail investors and people with less Bitcoin basically. And red, it means that the whales are buying and the small fish are also buying. So both of these categories, basically everyone are buying Bitcoin. Now, this becomes extremely interesting when you look at this chart right here. So for starters, what you can see is that during this big sell-off from the previous all-time high at $69,000 down to where we are today, basically, the whales have been selling Bitcoin into the retail investors, okay? Because this is light blue. So light blue meaning whales are selling Bitcoin, small fish are buying Bitcoin basically. So during this whole time period, the whales have been selling Bitcoin into the hands of the retail investors, and the price has inevitably, of course, been going down and down and down. But now we're starting to see something interesting. You can see here that not only are, the small fish continuously buying Bitcoin, but also whales have started to accumulate Bitcoin here. So basically from, I don't know, maybe $38,000 and down, we have been starting to see these red dots, meaning that whales are accumulating Bitcoin. And this is pretty similar to what you saw right here. The difference is in July of 2021, you first started to see whales buying Bitcoin from the small fish. So the small fish were panic selling Bitcoin here into the hands of the whales. And then, the whales formed the bottom here and up we went. So yeah, it's extremely interesting to see how the Bitcoin is moving between whales and, retail investors. And this is why I'm telling you that yes, the whales are still in control of this market, because as you can see here, once the whales started to buy up all of the Bitcoin represented by the yellow dots here, buying up the Bitcoin from retail investors, they formed the bottom. And then from this bottom, both retail and whales started to, buy Bitcoin like crazy. And then we went up here. So why are the whales accumulating Bitcoin right now? Well, I believe that, the price is just so low right now, and that the whales are accumulating Bitcoin, kind of like what you saw right here. Once we, were about to reach $30,000, whales started to accumulate because, it's just a good support level. There's, a high likelihood that, just like I've been saying recently, guys, we are going to find the bottom somewhere around $30,000. Could be 32, could be 33. Maybe we already found the bottom. Could also be $26,000. But in this general vicinity, I believe we are going to find the bottom. And this is also what the whales seems to believe, because once we reached that kind of level, well, they start to accumulate Bitcoin like crazy. But could there be another reason why the whales are stepping in right now and accumulating more Bitcoin? Well, perhaps it has something to do with what we saw right here. So Bitcoin whales accumulating Bitcoin, but we know that Bitcoin whales are also, contributing to the most amount of Bitcoin being transferred to exchanges. So although they are definitely, accumulating Bitcoin here, the majority of the Bitcoin that is being transferred into exchanges is also coming from whales. So maybe they have accumulated this Bitcoin to try to pull something off. And that would go in line with where we are right now in traditional markets. So maybe if we do see a big dump here in traditional markets opening up, tonight and tomorrow when the real stock market opens up, maybe they're going to try to, reinforce that dumping Bitcoin and trying to take advantage of that and get people to sell their Bitcoin for a very cheap price. I'm not telling you that that is going to happen. I'm just, thinking about different possibilities right here. But there's one thing we know, and that is that if the Bitcoin price is to go down, people need to sell Bitcoin. And this is an extremely interesting chart, because this is telling us that this is the profit and loss adjusted to market cap. In other words, what this is telling us is basically how many Bitcoin transactions are right now in profit. And it's interesting to look at, because what this represents is basically at some point, even though, the Bitcoin market is looking very bearish or whatever, at some point you're going to reach a certain point where there just aren't any sellers, because all the people who were, panic selling, they have already sold, and the people left are just people holding for the long term. And that is represented by this chart. And you can see that we have met this trend line, or hit this trend line multiple times here, where we just haven't had any sellers left. We just have the long-term holders left in general. And so that is also very interesting to pay attention to. I'm not telling you that this cannot break down from this level. All I'm saying is that we have hit this trend line a lot of times already. And it makes sense that, yes, even though the price is going down at some point, the sellers have already sold and the people left holding are by the majority of the Bitcoin holders, long-term holders as well. And then we have another thing. If you look at the funding rates, and the funding rates right now are negative. So what is the funding rate? Well, the funding rate is something that you're paying to hold a perpetual position. So on Bybit, on Femex, whatever. And you can see that the funding rate is negative. In fact, it has been negative for quite a while. And this just means that more people are shorting, crypto than going long Bitcoin and other cryptos. And these can either be for prolonged periods. As you can see here, during July, we had a prolonged period in, right now we had a prolonged period. We had a prolonged period in October. And then you also have these spikes. And these are just, when you see a big dump or when you see a big pump, people get liquidated and so on. So that causes a spike. But for a prolonged period, whenever we have had a prolonged period of negative funding, it hasn't ended good for the shorts here. When a lot of people are shorting, the funding rate is going down, and usually that leads into a short squeeze and the Bitcoin price going up. But could it be different right now? Because with the information we have, whales accumulating Bitcoin here, whales transferring Bitcoin to exchanges, and massive amounts of shorts compared to longs. And of course, traditional markets opening up today, having a big effect on Bitcoin. If it goes down, maybe the whales are going to try to push that down. And yeah, the shorts will then be in profit. But that would go against basically what we've been seeing previously, because this year at least, or last year, whenever we have had this amount of a prolonged period, I should say, of negative funding, it has usually been very close or at the bottom before a big breakout for Bitcoin. Guys, I just wanted to share my thoughts here today. Do you think that this chart is interesting with the whales? Do you want me to keep following up on this, seeing what the whales are doing? Are they buying? Are they buying from retail investors? Are retail and whales selling at the same time? Let me know that down in the comment section. I'll make sure to make this a standard thing for my videos. Of course, if you want to start trading yourself, you're able to claim $4,530 over on Bybit. Thank you so much for watching this, guys. I will see you in the next one.